Going into the family business when you're a member of the House of Windsor may come with a lifetime of distinction and privilege, but it doesn't usually offer a huge fortune. Even high-ranking royals, known as members of the firm since the reign of King George VI, sometimes rely on their parents for allowances, presents, and other aristocratic perks. But being king is still rewarding. Large tracts of land, royal estates, and other personal possessions were left to King Charles III by his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. So how does he maintain such an immense treasure and how he spends his billions? Curious to know more? Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. In this episode, we will take a deeper look at the King of the United Kingdom's lifestyle. Therefore, think about subscribing and activating the bell notification to receive tons of fascinating robot material. Without further ado, let's get into the subject. In addition, he's now in charge of the $42 billion worth of assets that the late monarch left the country in trust, thanks to a 1993 deal that exempts transfers of property from one sovereign to another. Charles won't have to pay a penny in inheritance tax. The Duchy of Cornwall, a holding company with net assets of $1.2 billion, will pass to Prince William. Prince Charles of Wales started several initiatives to promote organic farming and safeguard the environment. Some of the most renowned royal residences in the world are among the estimated $42 billion in assets managed by Charles institutions. King Charles' Crown Estate, a vast real estate portfolio with $17.5 billion in net assets, is his most valuable single possession. These holdings include almost the entire seabed of the United Kingdom, Ascot Racecourse, London's premier retail district Regent Street, and the Queen's favorite racetrack, Ascot. The British Treasury receives the entire $361 million net profit generated by the Crown Estate in the fiscal year 2022. But the royal family also receives a portion of the pie. They're given a sum from the Treasury known as the Sovereign Grant, which is equivalent to 25% of the financial year's net profit from 2 years prior. Based on the Crown Estate's net earnings from 2019 to 20 fiscal year, the Sovereign Grant in 2022 was $99.6 million. But Charles doesn't get that huge wealth all to himself. An extra 15% of that net profit, or $39.8 million for 2022, is used to pay for the royal family's yearly travel, formal events, housekeeping, and wages. A portion of that net profit, 10%, or $39.8 million for 2022, is designated for maintaining Buckingham Palace, and the costs go up quickly. Prince William and Kate's 9-day trip to Belize, Jamaica, and the Bahamas in March, which cost over $260,000, including preparation for the trip, was the most costly royal vacation in the last year. Charles has several sources of income in addition to the Sovereign Grant. It excludes physical security to start with. As king, he also obtained sovereignty over the Duchy of Lancaster, a private estate with net assets of $753 million that the monarch owns in trust. The privy purse and allowance that the king receives directly from the duchy to pay for any official expenses is funded by the duchy's net income, with pre-tax that came to $24 million in 2022. The Queen consented in 1993 to voluntarily pay income tax on the portion of the privy purse not utilized for official purposes, in contrast to the Sovereign Grant, which is tax-free. Charles also committed to upholding the same policy upon his succession. Along with the Crown Estate in the Duchy of Lancaster, Charles also owns the Crown Estate Scotland, a portfolio with about $570 million in net assets that includes the Scottish seabed, rural estates, and the legal right to fish for wild salmon, as well as the ability to extract naturally occurring gold and silver in Scotland. The majority of the Crown's assets, including the Royal Collection, which contains the Crown Jewels, and at least 9 previous and present royal homes, are the most challenging to assess because they'll never be sold on the open market and don't submit yearly reports. The British royal family's most recognizable possession is perhaps the Crown Jewels. They're kept in trust by the king for the country as a part of the royal collection. The sale of the French Crown Jewels in 1887 and the sale of the late Princess Margaret's jewels in 2006 served as a benchmark for the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors' estimate of their value for the year 2019 of $4 billion. The Royal Collection, which has paintings from Rembrandt, Vermeer, Caravaggio, and Leonardo da Vinci, has an undeniably larger overall worth. The Royal Collection, which includes the Crown Jewels, is estimated to be worth $12.7 billion by a 2017 analysis by Brand Finance, a brand valuation company located in the United Kingdom. Additionally, the king owns at least 9 palaces, castles, and homes, in right of the crown or his capacity as sovereign. Forbes pegs the worth of all of these homes at $9.5 billion, based on estimates from Lenka Dukova Munter, a sales expert for historical buildings at Czech real estate firm Luxon, and Colby Short, co-founder and CEO of estate agent website getagent.co.uk. Of course, the king's official London residence, Buckingham Palace, with a value estimated at $4.9 billion, is the most valuable asset in the collection. At the lower end is Clarence House, Charles' official London residence, while he was the Prince of Wales, which is worth $72 million. The king now directly owns Balmoral and Sandringham, which are valued at $118 million and $73 million respectively. He inherited them from Queen Elizabeth. The majority of these assets are not sellable. The future king would be prudent to keep in mind what happened to King Charles I's material goods following his beheading by his subjects in 1649 before deciding on Charles as his regnal name. The personal belongings of the Queen, valued at $500 million by Forbes, will pass to Charles III. According to legend, the study of rocks, cruised by Claude Monet, is the most valuable piece in that collection. Since May, when just 32% of people thought Charles would make a fine monarch, his approval rating has increased to 63%. The king and the royal family also owned a sizable collection of automobiles, timepieces, and other opulent toys. King Charles showed up to meet visitors at Buckingham Palace on Sunday, the first official day of his reign, wearing an 18-karat gold Parmigiani Fleurier Tauric chronograph watch, the Swiss watchmaker informed Forbes. Although Parmigiani Fleurier no longer makes the Tauric chronograph, a comparable model did sell at Christie's in 2019 for $8,125. The Rolls-Royce Phantom 6 that his mother received for her Silver Jubilee in 1977 served as the king's car of choice for his debut in London. Although the vehicle is not for sale, a 1976 comparable model may be had for $225,000. Charles also receives the Bentley State Limousine, which was made in honor of the Queen's Golden Jubilee in 2002 and her 50 years as head of state. Charles acquired the skills necessary to create his enormous wealth throughout his 64 years as Prince of Wales. His primary source of income came from the Duchy of Cornwall, which under his reign grew to have net assets of $1.2 billion, including more than 52,000 hectares of land, or almost a third of Greater London, and nearly $400 million in commercial buildings. The net assets of the duchy increased by 51% between 2011 and 2022. Charles received enough revenue from the sales of those assets to be self-sufficient in terms of the sovereign grant. The then Prince of Wales received over $26.6 million in pre-tax income from the Duchy of Cornwall in the fiscal year that ended on March 31, 2022, as opposed to $1.2 million from sovereign grant. Prince William, who succeeded his father as the Prince of Wales, is now in possession of that priceless treasure. William no longer needs to ask his father for a share of his earnings now that he has Cornwall. On the other hand, Prince Harry is moving on with his business endeavors alongside his wife, Meghan Markle. The pair inked a 3-year podcasting agreement with Spotify in December 2020, which may be worth $15 million to $18 million. The pair also has a $100 million 5-year Netflix agreement that was inked in September 2020, as well as a mental health-focused Apple TV Plus project that Harry executive produces with Oprah Winfrey for an unknown fee. Leaving the royal family is often not a wise financial decision. King Edward VIII, Elizabeth's uncle, lost access to the sovereign grant, then known as the Civil List, when he abdicated in 1936 to wed the twice-divorced Wallis Simpson. Instead, he worked out an arrangement with his brother, King George VI, to get £25,000 a year and $1.4 million when inflation is included in. Nevertheless, the Duke of Windsor, as he came to be called, left behind a wealth when he passed away in 1972 that was around $2.5 million, or $17.7 million today, and including residence in Paris. Before he became king, Charles' wealth was far less clear. His investments made through the Duchy of Cornwall have also come under examination. In 2017, the Paradise Papers investigation by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists revealed that the Duchy of Cornwall had invested millions of pounds in offshore funds in businesses, including a company registered in Bermuda run by an old friend from the University of Cambridge in the 1960s named Hugh Van Cutsem. The duchy said at the time that Charles had no direct role in financial choices. Charles currently owns $42 billion in trust as the sovereign and $500 million in personal assets as the king. Despite leading an opulent lifestyle that includes access to several castles, fleets of vehicles, private jets, and a very impressive collection of tiaras and other jewels, King Charles III only has 2 things in common with the average person: death and some taxes. So, what do you think of the luxurious life of King Charles III? Tell us in the comments section. To ensure that you never miss a video, Kindly like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. This helps support the channel. And also, thanks for watching.